everyone. I am continuing with the first page of my mini album, and I'm just going to be inking the edges of this distressed brown cardstock from Basic Gray. And I'm inking it in Chestnut Roan color box fluid chalk ink, and I'm also inking this text paper, which is from the Making Memories Slice 8x8 ledger pad. And these stamps are from Inkadinkadoo, and I'm going to be stamping some fall leaves, also in color box fluid chalk ink. And this is a large stamp, and I originally didn't have my stamp pad underneath it, and I had to drag it off the page so I could press with my hand. So to avoid that, I just went ahead and grabbed my mouse pad that I use for stamping. And when stamping with clear stamps, it helps to get a crisper image if you have something squishy underneath, like a mouse pad or a piece of foam. And it was too flimsy for what I wanted to use it for, which is a pocket, so I covered the back with adhesive, and I'm just putting it on a scrap piece of cardstock that was sitting on my desk. And I'm just trimming the edges with my Martha Stewart craft knife. And then I'm going to be placing it where I want it, and then marking where my holes need to go. Then I'm going to punch my holes out with just a 1/4 inch hole punch. This one is from Fiskars. And now I am actually going to reinforce the holes with little tiny pieces of foam tape. This is the 3M brand. And that is going to keep the holes from tearing since they'll be near the rings. And now I'm going to stamp this journaling tag from Autumn Leaves on this piece of ivory cardstock with color box fluid chalk ink in Chestnut Roan. And then I'm actually going to cut it out with my scissors, and then I'm going to do some additional stamping on the back, just leaving a little bit of the cream trim. And here I'm attaching a piece of Making Memories twill tape. Just going to use some staples. And I'm going to grab my ribbon scissors and cut the ends at an angle. And then I'm actually going to cover the back of the tag with adhesive and put it on some craft cardstock, because I want to do some additional stamping on the back, and I want it to be on this craft. So I'm covering the craft cardstock with adhesive, and then I'm going to stick this down to it. And then again, I'll be cutting it out with my scissors. It's a doodled tag, so I need to use my scissors. I can't use a paper trimmer. So I'm going to ink the edges of the tag, and then I'm going to stamp it with a hot off the press journaling spot. It's just a set of journaling lines here. Once again, using my mouse pad. And then from the same set, I'm going to stamp a bracket also in the color box fluid chalk ink in Chestnut Roan. And I'm going to stamp that above and below the journaling spot. It's a little tricky stamping at the top here because of the staples, which is why I picked it up so I could press the paper into the stamp. So now I am just looking at how much I want it to peek out, and I'm actually going to use foam tape to create a barrier to prevent the tag from falling out the bottom of this, behind this cardstock pocket, sort of, that I've made. And so now I'm just lining up the holes. I've peeled off the back of the dimensional tape, and I'm sticking it down. And there's the tag, and that's how it looks from the front. So the next day I came in my scrap room and I decided the back of that tag looked a little too plain, so I went and got a flourish stamp. And I'm stamping the flourish stamp in Versamark just right over the bracket stamp. And what's going to happen is, it's kind of like a two-step, two-tone stamping. I'm going to put white embossing powder on the Versamark and then heat emboss it, and that'll give a nice contrast between the white, the craft, and the dark brown. And that's just a fun way to dress up your journaling spots. And do some additional accents. And you'll see that at the end. I took a picture of it just then. So now I have this piece of raw chipboard from Fancy Pants Designs. It's got a little scalloped edge. And a bottle of distressed crackle paint and old paper. And old paper is the only color of distressed crackle paint I have. I usually just use this, and then I put acrylic paint over it in whatever color I want. And that means that I only have to have one color of distressed crackle paint in my house. And so right now I'm actually just using Colorbox Fluid Chalk ink and chestnut roan to color the crackle paint. And I just want it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm wiping off some of the excess with a baby wipe. And now I'm spraying it with Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist in Suede. And as it dries, here in a second you'll see it gives you can see it changing color a little bit and getting a sheen to it that it didn't have before as I dry it with my heat gun. It's very, very pretty. Suede is a lovely, lovely color. That's probably one of my favorites of their colors. So now I'm on to page 2, and I'm just inking a piece of pink distressed cardstock from Basic Gray in Colorbox Fluid Chalk ink and chestnut roan, and sticking it to the chipboard. Remember, I only used cardboard for the front cover. I used chipboard for everything else. And now I'm covering my chipboard accent with glossy accents. That'll keep the distressed crackle paint from flaking off. You can also use Mod Podge to keep the distressed crackle paint from flaking off. It's been my experience that it tends to do that. So I always cover it with something, usually glossy accents. And glossy accents, since it dries so clear, it preserves the shimmer beneath it. I just wanted that pink cardstock a little bit more distressed. So I sprayed it with the Glimmer Mist, and I'm just dabbing up some of the blotchier spots and blending it out a little bit. I'm going to dry it with my heat gun. It gives it a little bit more distressing around the edges, and also, of course, gives it a shimmer, a very pretty golden shimmer. And now I'm going to be adding a piece of The Quest for the Holy Grail to this. It's one of my least favorite books from my medieval literature class, which was one of my least favorite literature classes in college. So the other day I was looking for some text paper and saw it and realized I was never going to reread it or anything like that. So now I've been using it in some of my projects. So I'm just going to trim this out and cover it with Glimmer Mist, and then in the next video I'll show you how I put all these elements together on the second page and also make some tags for it. Thanks for watching.